Today we will talk about independence of events. Now we had seen in chapter on conditional probability that probability of A given B was given by this formula, that probability of A given B is equal to probability of A intersection B divided by probability of B. Okay. Now suppose A and B are such events that probability of A given B is same as probability of A. And what does this mean? This means that the probability of occurrence of A does not depend on whether B happens or does not happen. That is, A is independent of occurrence or non-occurrence of B. So we say that A and B are independent events. So this is the definition. Now using this formula, what I can say that probability of A intersection B will be PB into PAB. Now if these two events are independent, then this PA given B is same as PA. So this formula is used as a definition for independent events, that probability of A intersection B is equal to probability of A into probability of B. Then we say that A is independent of B. Now if A is independent of B, then B will also be independent of A. So this independence is a symmetric relation. That is, if A is independent of B, then B is also independent of A, and we say that A and B are independent events. Now in this definition, sometimes this condition is also given that PA has and PB has to be, both of them have to be greater than 0. Why this condition is required? Because if you say if any of the events has, say, this probability as 0, then this equation will hold trivially, because both LHS and RHS will become 0. So you are not getting any new definition, new idea. That's why we are using this condition, because suppose if you take that an event that is PA is equal to 0, then what will happen? PA intersection B will also be 0. So what will happen in this thing? 0 will be 0 into PB. So this is trivially holds true, no? So you are not getting anything new concept or new idea based upon this thing. So that's why we assume that, okay, when this definition is given, this PA and PB is greater than 0. Moreover, because this definition came into picture, was derived based upon this thing, and this thing was based upon the condition that this PB is greater than 0. That's why this condition is also required for this definition of independence also. Okay, now let's see another thing. What is another common misconception among students is that suppose I have given you two events like this. First let me rub this portion. Suppose you have been given, this is my sample space, this is my omega sample space, this is my event A, this is my event B. People sometimes mistakenly assume that any event, suppose these two events are disjoint, then they are independent. Obviously, because visually it looks not that, okay, A is here, B is there, and A and B are independent of each other. No. Whenever you have got two disjoint events, they can never be independent. Intuitive answer: the moment I say that A has happened, it negates the possibility of B happening. Why? Because they are like day and night, they are like black and white. Moment A has happened, B cannot happen. So the occurrence of B almost completely depends upon occurrence or non-occurrence of A, because if A has happened, then B will say that, okay, I am not coming because A has come. Similarly, if B has happened, then A can say that now that B has come, I will not come. So these two events are not independent. Using this also I can prove. You see, because this PA is some finite number, because I am assuming this thing. PB is also some finite number. And what is PA intersection B? That is 0. So 0 cannot be some finite number into multiplied by some finite number. So these two events can never be independent. So always remember, two disjoint events can never be independent of each other. Okay, now let's see another problem. Let A and B be independent events. So prove the following, that events A and B complement are independent, and similarly events A complement and B complement are also independent. Intuitive answer I can say, since A and B are independent, it means A does not depend whether B has happened or not. So so A is least bothered whether B has come or not, or so if A is least bothered whether B has come or not, similarly A should be least bothered whether B has gone or not. So if entry of B is not making any difference to A, similarly exit of B will also not make any difference to A. Okay, so intuitive answer is very clear that if A and B are independent, then A will be independent of B complex also, B complement also. Similarly, if you are assuming that these two are true, then A complement will also be independent of B complement. So this is an intuitive answer. I will give you a mathematical answer. You see, this is my sample space. This, let's call this my event A. Let's call this event B. Okay. Now I can write A as A intersection B complement. What will be A intersection B complement? Will be this portion. So what is this? Let me write, this is A intersection B complement, because this is A and this is B, so this is B complement, and A intersection B is this. Okay, so my set A, this whole set A can be written as union of this thing, that is union of this dotted area and union of this crossed area. Very correct. So A can be written as this union this. Now these two areas, this and this, are disjoint. Why? Because it is having B complement, it is having B. So this and these two areas are disjoint. So what is the advantage? Moment I get a disjoint set in probability, my eyes lit up. Why? Because I have to find probability of A. I can just find probability of this guy and add this probability of this guy. So exactly same thing I will do right now also. So what I will do, A is the union of disjoint events A intersection B complement and A intersection B. Now using additivity axiom and the independence of A and B, I can write probability of A is equal to this plus this. Now A and B are independent, so probability of A into probability of B plus probability of A intersection B complement. So what is probability of A intersection B complement? What you do, you take this term to this side, then you will get PA into 1 minus PB. What is 1 minus PB? That is probability of B complement. So this is equal to this. So A and B complement are independent. Got it? So what I have proved, that if A and B are independent, this implies A and B complement are independent. So if an event is independent to another event B, then that event is also independent of that complement. So the same rule, same step, if I apply on these two things, so what I can say, that this B complement will also be independent of complement of this guy. So A complement and B complement are also independent. Got it? So if A and B are independent, then A and B complement are independent, and A complement and B complement are independent. Now let me discuss another example, very interesting case. Suppose that we toss two fair dice. Okay, this dice is fair, so probability of all occurrences are equal. Let E1 denote the event that the sum of the dice is 6, and let F denote the event that the first die equals 4. Okay, now I have to see whether these two events are independent or not. So what is the idea? You find probability of E1 intersection F. So when you go for E1 intersection F, meaning E1 and F both are happening. So when F is happening, you get 4. So E1 is that sum is 6, so it has to 2. So probability of obtaining 4, 2 will be 1 by 36, because there are 36 equally possible outcomes. So 1 by 36. Now what is probability of E1? That is 5 by 36. That is denoting the event that the sum of the dice is 6. I can obtain sum 6 in how many manners? 1 5, 2 4, 3 3, 4 2 and 5 1. So these are 5 outcomes, 5 favorable outcomes out of 36. So probability of E1 is 5 by 36, and probability of F, that is first die equals 4, is 1 by 6. So this is 5 by 206. So this shows that E1 and F are not independent event. Okay. Now let me define another event and then I will discuss. Suppose let E2 be the event that the sum of the dice equals 7. Is E2 independent of F? F is the same which I was using in last slide. Then F is the event that I am getting, that this F is the event of having first die as 4. So what will be probability of E2 intersection F? This will be that first die is 4 and the second die has to be 3. Then only you will get this E2 intersection F. So probability of 4, 3 will be 1 by 36. What is probability of E2? E2 meaning probability of obtaining 7. So 7 you can obtain as 1 by 6, 2, 5, 3, 4, 4, 3, 5, 2 and 6, 1. So there are 6 outcomes. So 6 by 36, that is 1 by 6, and into probability of F is also 1 by 6, you are getting 1 by 36. So these two events are independent. Why? Because probability of E2 intersection F is equal to probability of E2 into probability of F. So mathematically I have proved these two events are independent, but can you guess the intuitive answer or intuitive reasoning why this is happening? This is happening, you see why. Suppose the dice are being rolled in another room. You are sitting in another room, okay, and your friend is relaying you or coming and giving you the outcome that what has happened. And suppose you are worried about this even outcome, that is you will win a lottery or whatever if this even occurs. Okay, that even meaning that the sum of the dice is 6 and F is the event that first die is 4. So suppose you are not seeing what is happening in other room and you have deputed one of your friends to convey you the result, or he comes running and says you. Okay, now in this case what is happening? You will win the lottery if event that the sum of the dice is 6. So the moment your friend comes and he gives you outcome of the first dice and first die, and moment he tells you that it has come 4, then what will happen? You will be very happy. You can say, why I will be very happy? You will be very happy because if 4 has come, then you have still got one chance, that probability of winning this even. But suppose your friend, instead of giving you the news that 4 has come, suppose he would have told you that no, 4 has not come but 6 has come, then what will happen? You are doomed. You cannot win this lottery. Why? Because the moment the first die is 6, now this event even cannot happen. So the occurrence of this event even depends upon what is happening in the first die. So you cannot get a 6 if the first die itself has got 6. So because if you get the first die has got 6, then you can go for 7 or 8 or 9 or whatever, but this event even will not happen. So what I am telling is, the occurrence of this event even, that the occurrence of you winning the lottery or you getting the prize, you will get the prize when the sum of the dice is 6. So the occurrence of this event depends upon what is happening in the first dice. So if your friend says that okay, 4 has come, then you are relatively happy because you know that okay, if I get 2 in the second die, I can win. If your friend also would have come with the idea, say okay, 3 has come, then also you are happy that okay, if I get 3 in the second dice, I will win. But had your friend come with the bad news that okay, 6 has come, then you are gone forever. That's why this even and F, they are not independent, because what will happen to the outcome of this even depends upon what is happening in this F. So these two events are not independent. But you see, in this case, suppose now you will win the prize if the sum of the dice equals 7. Now your friend is coming with the news. Then you are least bothered. Why you are least bothered? Suppose your friend comes and tells you that okay, 2 has come. Then you say okay, what? So what? 2 has come, now I have to obtain 5. Probability of obtaining 5 is 1 by 6. So I may win, I may lose. If your friend comes that okay, no, 4 has come. Then you say, so what? 4 has come, I have to obtain 3. So probability of obtaining 3 is, for a fair die, 1 by 6. So no matter what is the outcome of this F, this first die, the outcome of E2 is independent of what is happening in the first die. That's why these two events are independent. Why? Because E2, the event that the sum of the dice equals 7, does not depend, this probability does not depend on the probability of first occurrence, because even if 1 is coming, probability of E2 happening is 1 by 6. If 2 is occurring in first die, then also the probability of this 1 by 6, because for 2 you have to obtain 5, for 3 you have to obtain 4, for 4 in first die you have to obtain 3, so probability of obtaining 3 is also 1 by 6. So probability of all these events is 1 by 6 irrespective of what is coming in the first die. So this event E2 is independent of F.